Hello, everybody. Welcome to Chapter 5 with the Art of Zenning.
Wish you a very, very happy new year. Hope you have had a good start to the new year.
Absolutely. Today, and we want to kind of continue upon our, journey of life lessons and learning together, if you will. And we want to talk about decision making. So, how do we usually make big decisions, especially? I mean, every day we are faced with tons of decisions, starting from the morning till we go to bed at night. But what is the process of decision making? We want to sort of dissect it and see how we can help us all in better decision making.
What I've realized is that we were faced with a very difficult decision this week, and we'll talk a little bit about it as we dissect the process of decision making. And we kind of very consciously observed how we go about this process of decision making. What I have realized now, we have been practicing in the last few years a lot of mindfulness, or as some of you may call it mindlessness, right? Letting go of the mind, coming from the place of being and not just, the your monkey mind, which keeps going on based on your past experiences, your biases, your belief systems, and things that you think are reality, but actually they are something you started to attach to very early on in life, and it became such a unconscious, subconscious part of you that now you don't even realize. You go on an autopilot, and your decision making happens from that lens.
Yeah, so if we take step back for a moment, like if you look at the books from business schools or how in leadership training and many certain ways, there's different tools that are prescribed for decision making, especially big decisions in life, as we said earlier. So there's tools like you want to focus on the 80-20 principle, like 80% of the decisions are made with 20% of the information, or vice versa. Otherwise, you kind of get in the analysis paralysis phase. Or there are so many other tools, like you do a pros and cons analysis. So you make your table of what's good about decision A versus B and what's bad about it. And then you do a weighted score and come about the process of arriving at a specific decision. And all these tools are very valuable. They're good. I think what we want to step back from absolutely utilizing these tools, but then once you've kind of thought that decision B, for example, is better than decision A based on my tools analysis or any process of elimination or pros and cons, then we forge ahead onto that decision, onto that path, like pretty much fully immersed into it without questioning ourselves after that decision point is behind us. Because when you're going forward, you don't want to look back because you're not going in that direction. You're going forward.
And so what I would ask you to do is do an evaluation of what's your belief system. When things happen in life where some decision making is involved, what's your belief system? Do you believe that you have a choice? Do you believe that you created what happened? Do you believe that it was destiny that brought it forward? And then if you assess that belief system, sometimes you are able to give yourself a command to go on and change that belief system. Or does it really matter how that thing came about?
Yeah, that's a good point, because right, belief systems are so valuably ingrained in our subconscious. Like, some people may have a belief system that nothing is predestined. It's all free will. I make the decisions in my life and I have to live with the choices, which is fine. The other people's belief system may be, I don't control anything. I don't have any free will. Everything is predestined for me based on my past karmas, or based on, some other higher power, i.e. God, or universe, or other forces that are beyond our control, are kind of, we're the puppets, if you will. So I guess what we're saying is, no matter what your belief system is, A, it's hard to get rid of it because that's what's ingrained in each of us through our environments, through the families we are born in, and through many other factors. So it's okay. Whatever your belief system is, just remember it's not about either it's good or bad. The point is within the framework of that belief system, once you've made a decision, then you should be forging ahead without questioning either the belief system or your pros and cons analysis, because once you're down on path B, you cannot go on path A. And more importantly, in the bigger scheme of things, whether the path B that you chose as a result of the decision turns out to be quote unquote good or bad, pleasant or unpleasant, they're all just experiences in the path of life. None of them is eternal. Everything has sort of a shelf life. Every experience has a shelf life, whether it's good, bad, or ugly. Every experience is there for us to enrich ourselves, to learn something, to go through it, and then just, again, looking back on our lives, we've made so many decisions which we keep questioning, regretting, and all of those things. But literally, that is just completely wasted energy, because no matter what the belief system was, we took the best decision at that time with the information we had. And all we could have done is the path that the decision led us to, we could have made the most of it.
And what a good practice in whenever you are making any decision is not to react to what is happening. Make a conscious effort to respond within the frame of knowledge that you have, within whatever you know about that situation, and make a decision that is your response to the situation, not your unconscious reaction to what just happened. And the way to do it is detach from it, look at the problem and not attach any emotions to it. Look at it with kindness and compassion. And while you're doing it, the breath work is very important at that point. You can focus on your breath so that it brings you to the present moment. And then look at that, whatever the situation is, from a point of view of where do we go from here? At this moment, this is the situation. And going forward, where do we go from here? But keeping in mind, at this moment, I'm going to treat this situation with the utmost compassion and kindness, and pass no judgment to anyone or anything. And then from this point of being conscious and aware and being present in the moment, my decision making would be way more beneficial for everybody involved than if I was just reacting to that situation subconsciously. Like, one of the very good example of this is when my son was young, right? Like really little. I wish I had known all these things when my son was young, because most often when you're a parent, you're always reacting to your child. Your child did something, your child fell, or your child wants something and you're in the middle of doing something else. So, or, he's trying to cross the road, like you're terrified that something may happen. So all your responses to what happens are actually reactions to the situation. You're not consciously responding. And what that does is that creates a sense of fear in the child, that creates a willing, like, longing to please everyone in the child, which when you grow up is not a good thing. So, from my experience, what I can say is, as I've grown up, I have had to unlearn mostly everything I learned when I was young. And I think my child might have to do that. So and that's what we try, we hope that, the human consciousness can go to that level where we are passing on those consciousness and the ability to be aware in the moment to our children, so they don't have to unlearn what they learned. They can expand and grow from it.
Right. I mean, the lesson is that we either, based on the decisions we take in life, we either win or we learn. We never fail, because and that's the learning we are trying to impart our kids and everybody else. Because so what if a decision caused us to go through a suffering, because as the society has termed it, it renders itself to somewhat of a failure. It's not really a failure, it's just a learning. And you go through it, and then further avenues open up, and then because of that quote unquote failure, you end up into many other branches that open up towards new paths in life that you wouldn't have had you succeeded in that decision A in the first place. Or another way of saying it is, there is never a happy ending possible, which we are always chasing, all of us in life. You cannot have a happy ending to an unhappy journey. You got to be happy now.
Yeah,
You got to be
yeah.
enjoying the journey, and only then is it possible to have a happy ending, if you will. And every ending has got to be happy anyway, because you've gone through so many experiences. Every one of us, all 7 billion
Yeah.
of us.
Do you want to share, Sonu, the decision we had to make
Yeah, sure.
recently?
It's
Yeah,
been a
yeah.
very difficult decision, but we want to share just to kind of make sure that we're all, again, I'm sure all of us are facing tough decisions in different ways. And they're, yeah, please go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah. So I recently met with my oncologist, and I was told that I have to go through another surgery, which is a major invasive surgery. And the surgery is based on probabilities of me getting my cancer back. So like when that information was given to us, my initial response was, no, I don't want to do it. Why would I want to do it? Would I subject myself to another surgery when I've already gone through so many things? But then when I looked at all the facts and we did our probability analysis, pros and cons, like it does bring my chances of my cancer returning by a certain
Significant
percentage,
proportion, yeah.
right? Like not significant, by a certain percentage. And what percentage or what chance am I willing to take? So you want to talk a little bit more about what, like, because we did the decision together, what was going in your mind when you were making that decision?
Yeah. So again, we're not doctors. Actually, Sandy has a medical background, so she's more of an expert from a medical perspective than I ever was or will be. But simply from the perspective of whatever we were learning, the point was whether we go through this surgery now, which hopefully dramatically helps in the peace of mind for the rest of her hopefully wonderfully long life, that the chances of cancer ever returning are dramatically reduced, which is the whole purpose of this surgery. If we go through it, yes, we have to go through our struggles, another surgery, another recovery, and as a family, it's certainly not easy. But we would be going through it trusting the decision based on not questioning it once we go through it. And if we decide to not go through it, or had we decided not to go through it, that would have been fine too, in the sense that we are now trusting in the bigger powers, universe, God, that we took a decision based on whatever information we had, and we, as an outcome of that decision, go into path A or path B, fully trusting that we would live with the outcome of that decision. Outcome, again, whether it's predetermined or whether it's a result of our free will that God has imparted us or not, we don't know. We're not meant to know. But no matter what the overarching powers are doing, at least what we could do is fully accept the outcomes and surrender to whatever comes as a result of our decision making based on those analyses, and trust and faith in the process and the professionals. We are very blessed to have wonderful oncologists, surgeons, and family physicians who have supported us through the process and the journey.
And so this is about a decision where it's like, life and death, and a major, illness. But I think we've taken a lot of other decisions, especially I've taken so many real estate decisions, and, and so one thing that I've learned is when a decision, the more the decision involves a person and his life, the harder it is. The more the decision involves, at least, for us, like it may be different for different people, and the more the decision involves other things, so the bigger that decision will impact your life, the harder it is.
Of course.
And the more conscious you have to be to take that decision. So that's the awareness. So the more impactful it is, then you take your time. Don't take it from the point of reacting to what is. We always do. We've always done a pros and cons list. I remember the house we are in was our was the least amount of time that we took for that decision. We walked in front of the house. We were told we can't see it because there were multiple offers on the house, and based on just walking around
Yeah,
the
and
property,
so
we took that decision. And
intuition yeah.
and yeah, that's true. Intuition is such a big part of decision making, and that intuition you hear when you practice, like being aware in the moment and the stillness. So
Yeah. And with those examples of decisions, whether it's health related or prosperity, career, material wealth related, we are sharing those examples not from the perspective of how good we are at decision making.
we have taken horrible decisions
Yeah,
too.
we're simply sharing them
Yeah.
to kind of make a point that we make the decision and then we fully trust however it turns out.
Yeah.
Because again, nobody is designed to know why so many things are happening in life. Whether it's the simulation hypothesis, as I think you shared on our channel, which is very intriguing, by the way, because scientists are now kind of somewhat coalescing with the mystics in terms of whether it's a scientific simulation, this whole world, that we are living in a simulation, sort of like the movie Matrix, if you will, or it's the universe, the evolution theory, whatever it is, things that are beyond our understanding at this stage of the human evolution. The point is we surrender to whatever is happening, whatever the reality is, relishing and going through these experiences. So the only thing we are coaching ourselves and support and sharing with all of you is, no matter what's happening, try to go along with the ride, truly positive from inside. Don't let yourselves down because of either the labeling that the society has done, that we go through hard times, or we are, again, I hate to use the word failures, because to me there are no failures. It's only learnings or wins. But whenever we are going through certain process, don't ever question your decisions, because with that information, there was a reason you took a decision at that time. Once it's done, great. What's next? And again, not always futurizing, but in the present moment, living the life as it is unfolding based on our decisions, past, present, and future.
And when you're doing it, always being aware that whatever decision you are taking comes from the point of not, forcing yourself to a path. That's why it's very important to be still and be conscious of your thoughts and feelings, but not get attached to them. So being detached from your thoughts and feelings, because oftentimes, say there is a decision, okay? So for example, that I am going through or buying a piece of real estate. So what am I going to look at? I'm going to look at where the property is located, what's the future potential of the property, what's the price, can I afford it? Like, there's so many things tied to it. But if I start to also add a lot of emotions to it, oh, but if I have to move, then this is what I need to do. So, and then you can go into that whole spiral of a negative thought process. And that's why it's very important, when you're making a decision, look at things from a detached point of view. Observe your thoughts and feelings, accept them with kindness and compassion, but not believe that they're true. Because those thoughts and feelings are a reaction to what's happening. They're not an essential part of the decision-making process. The decision-making process has to come from your being, that place of stillness, where you know that what is, and it's totally acceptable. What is you accepting that present moment, and then how the present moment is going to evolve to the next moment, when it becomes the present moment, and will be okay no matter what it is.
And it usually turns out to be, again, very positive, because whatever is happening right now, you are embracing it, and you're doing embracing, acceptance, surrender. These are different words to try to convey the message, but not in a victimized mode, like, oh, why is this happening to me, so I surrender, but oh God, do whatever you want to do. Not like that. But and because it's possible to sometimes feel so down that it's human again. But I guess the message is, those are the moments to pull yourself together and realize that even if things were different, there would have been something that I had a choice to either like or not like. So positively accepting and doing a surrendered action positively within however things are turning out is sort of the mantra to live a fulfilling life, because then no matter how it turns out, you're always living it in a fulfilled fashion.
And it's very important to observe, like there's always most of us are always in two states. Either we are in our primitive state where we are sad and depressed and everything's going
Fight
wrong,
or flight mode.
fight or flight mode, or we are in an elevated state where we are, out there, ready to conquer the world, right? Most of us are in between those two states. Or so it is very important to elevate your state and be in that elevated state before you make a decision. Because whenever you're making a decision from a fight or flight response, it's not going to be an effective decision.
It's more emotional.
Yeah, it's more. So it's very important to go to that elevated state and then take that jump.
Yes, and always try to stay there. I mean, remember, it's a choice.
Yeah.
Every day you make a choice whether you want to kind of choose to feel down and drained, or choose to feel the opposite, positive. It is a choice. And I know it sounds hard depending on what each of us is going through in life, but please remember, it is a choice, and do your best to exercise your choice in a positive fashion.
And one thing I want to mention is that it doesn't happen just like that. It's a practice, right? So if we use this practice when we are making decisions that don't really impact our lives, we get better at making the decisions when really, those decisions are life and death situations, right?
Good point. So if you're practicing better in small decision making, then the big decisions are easier.
If your child came back with a bad report card, and then you don't react to it and make a conscious effort to observe and not react to the same,
and learn from it as an example,
and
help the child
have a mindful conversation with the child about, instead of reacting to it. Like, I'm talking about little decisions, right? Sometimes we are too quick to react, like a child, like somebody walked in with dirty shoes in our house and it's like the end of the world. Or I didn't find the right parking spot. We have had, we're famous for having parking wars in Vancouver. So just little things. At that time, if we can come from the point of view of consciousness and mindfulness, then that practice can happen when the decisions are really hard, and the decisions affect the direction of our lives.
Perfect. So we want to leave you guys with the best wishes for happy decision making, and
hope you're doing the exercises we have talked about before. What I want you to practice this week is, whenever you are deciding on something, just pause for a moment. Pause for a moment and take 3 breaths in and out, and then do whatever you're supposed to do. So make this practice a habit of pausing and taking deep breaths. And you can practice the earlier meditation that we talked about, like focusing on the pauses between breaths, or you can just focus on your breath coming in and out. And we just go from there. That's our exercise for this week.
And trust yourself. You have all the powers. Whatever the decisions you make are always wonderful decisions. All the best, folks.
Happy decision making.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.